Here we are. We're at home, G. What's going on?
We at home. Hey, I'm glad to be at home. If you out and about on these roads, please don't do it to yourself. Be safe. Be happy. We doing our thing. Bull, what's going on with you, bro?
How are you? You excited for Christmas this weekend? Did you get all your shopping done?
Oh yeah, that's what having a wife is for. She got all that together. She got that together. Oh, this might be Brad on the other side. Is this Brad? Hold on.
We bringing Brad in the mix too? Jay's having technical difficulties. There's Brad.
I just gotta fix the audio. Hold on.
You ain't got it. It's an echo. We'll get him together. I knew it was coming.
Yeah. Well, we'll get it. We're obviously working from home today because the weather is just awful out there. We were just saying that. It's very. I mean, I can't imagine how. I mean, you play. Obviously you played college football and you played in a bad weather area, so you're used to bad weather. But this is extreme. I don't care if you're used to playing in bad weather. It's going to be negative 20-something degree wind chill, wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour, some snow in the mix. Like, this is just the worst, really the worst possible weather you can play in. Terrible winds and terrible temperatures, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get worse than that.
Yeah, you can't. A lot of people talk about, well, I'm used to it. Like, you don't get used to stuff like this. Like, I mean, when the wind hits and then you get wet. And then the thing about it is the time between plays and between drives is crazy. So you go out there, you get wet, you get your blood flowing, then you go and sit on the sideline, you wait for TV timeouts, and you look up, all of a sudden it's cold, that wind is starting to hit you, and your hands and the feet is the first to go. And last time I checked football, you have to use your hands and the feet.
I'd say you're in bad shape if you don't have hands and feet that are usable.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, G. We tend to say that warm weather teams or dome teams, it's harder for them to play in cold weather. I think sometimes, especially if it's a young team, that can be a little overrated because, guys, the individual players have some of them have played in cold weather cities or whatever. And because the weather's so extreme, do you think the Browns have an inherent advantage? I mean, they have an advantage being at home. We get that. And the Browns have been a little better at home. The Saints have traditionally been a bad road team, and that has continued this year. I think they only have one win on the road all year. Do you think does the weather, as awful as it is, and will negatively affect probably both teams, is it an advantage to you for the Browns, to at least some degree?
I would think to some degree. But I wouldn't overstate it because, like you said, when you get extreme weather, I don't care who you is, you're gonna be affected by it regardless. Like, you can have cold weather all the time, and you could be, I think a lot of these teams have domes for practice. So for me to get that real advantage, I remember coming up in high school and in college, we didn't have no indoor facilities.
Yeah, right.
So it was like if it was cold, you was just practicing like outside, and the practices were worse than the games because the practices, you didn't have nothing to practice for. You just out here and the coach talking about you guys need to focus. I'm like, bro, there's no focusing on a Tuesday and it's negative 12 degrees. It's just not. I'm sorry. And so unless you're doing that all the time, I don't think there's a real advantage either way. It's just cold. Somebody gonna have to make some plays.
In the NFL, these teams always have like heaters and all this stuff on the sides. Did you have that in college?
Yeah, we had it in high school.
In high school? Wow.
In high school, we had the heaters.
I didn't know that.
You couldn't get too close of them because it would burn all of the hair off your legs. It will. For real. It burned. Listen, there's a guy, multiple dudes. Paul Starkey is his name. He got too close to the heater, and he got burned kind of bad though. But yeah, we had those heaters back in the day. But the thing about those is there was only one or two of them, and you got 50 dudes on the sideline. You can't be too close to them, like That's true. What I mean. So yeah,
everybody standing huddled up together. Anyway, in terms of everybody's made. I know every time I post we got Brad. Brad, we got you.
I'm on here. I'm trying to get these earpieces connect. I'm not all high fancy with y'all with speakers and microphones and things of that nature.
But you can't hear us, right?
I hear you fine.
Well, let me ask
you good.
Yeah. Well, Brad, let me ask you this. I was just asking G. What do you think? You think it's a big advantage for the Browns players because it's a cold weather city? over the Saints who play indoors in this game, or is it not as big a deal because it's so awful that it's going to suck for everybody?
Well, I think you've got so many people from different places.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. If you played up north, north is north, right? And so the southern guys, it may be a little different. But when I tell you, when it's cold like this, it's cold for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest. I was at the Browns facility yesterday, right? They were talking about how cold it was going to be. So
and they play.
We're already here.
Yeah,
so they're concerned. So
yeah, I mean, G was saying.
What to do if I was that's why I was glad I was an indoor sport guy.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because G was mentioning that before the show. We were talking, and he was like, in basketball, all the courts are the same. I mean, the Boston Garden had some elves hiding under there. We know that, but basically, it's all the same. It's the same size, same. You don't have to worry about weather conditions or anything like that. Whereas football, obviously, it's a huge difference playing in Cleveland versus playing in Miami. And then baseball, even so too, different size of the field. But you usually don't have to worry about. Well, you never have to worry about weather like this, obviously with baseball. But guys, how are we feeling about the Browns' chances of winning this game right now?
I feel pretty good. I feel like they've been on an upward trend, and I'm looking for that to continue. It's not like the Saints are blowing people out of the water, and I think that as the Browns go, as Deshaun Watson go, the Browns go. So I'm expecting him to be better this week.
G
might be colder.
I think he's gonna see. This is I love this. Somebody in the chat said this. He says, "Man, look, this is why I love Cleveland. Only the strong to survive."
That's true. Yeah,
I like that because look, if you coming out here and you got 3 games left to go in the season, this gonna prove a lot. Like you can't just roll out of bed and come get you some work in. Like you got to come prepared. Like you got to have all your faculties. You got to be cognizant because here's the thing. We talk about how cold it is. Can you imagine getting hit? There's a face mask and somebody traveling very fast to put some sort of work on your body. Deshaun Watson can gain a lot of points right here, right? If he come back out here with no sleeves on and he throwing the ball around a little bit and he's doing touchdowns, diving in the snow, he gonna get a lot of cool points. And I want it to be a point where the Browns can use this as a home field advantage. I want people to say, I want no parts of coming in the Boston Garden. I don't want to listen. That old Chicago stadium, I don't even want to. I hated the lights. The lights was weird. It was glary. I hated when the Cavs went to play there. I'm like, we ain't winning this game. It's a wrap. just on the court. They turn the lights off. I'm like, bro, they turning the lights off. Doom, 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 doom. I'm like, what? We not winning. I need the Browns to be that way.
Well, one thing that definitely should be an advantage, that you and I were talking about before the show, is Deshaun Watson's got a much better arm than Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton hit one of his biggest flaws as a quarterback throughout his whole career is he does not have a particularly strong arm. So if you're going to be able to throw, and it's not even from that perspective, it's certainly not about the snow. It's even less about the cold, but it's all about the wind, right? And if there's 40-mile-an-hour winds with occasional gusts up to 60 miles an hour, yeah, I mean, that's going to affect anybody. But I would think that Deshaun Watson and his strong arm would be able to deal with the wind better than Andy Dalton. And I think that's where, above maybe anything else, the Browns might have an advantage, guys.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. So I just think about this. I just think about what G said, Bull.
Yeah.
You're gonna tell who really likes to play football.
Damn right. Yeah.
Yes, you are.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if somebody hit you, that means they want to hit you. They don't care that it's cold outside. Now you're gonna have some guys out there like, man, where is the warm rat on the sideline? Where is the coat? What time is halftime? Right. That's gonna separate those. You're gonna tell real quick who want to be here.
And
who doesn't mind being out here.
Yeah. People back in the day, Bull, used to get in fights over them jackets, man. Like, so they only got a certain amount of sideline jackets. So they'd be like, hey, man, this is only for the too deep. If you ain't in the too deep, it's a lot of cats ain't playing with the jackets on. And I'd be sitting over there looking, smiling like, hey, bro, you're not really playing that well either. He might as well give you a jacket up.
Charles T checking in from Germany. Weirdly warm here.
In the building.
Charles. Somebody was asking about, somebody in the chat mentioned, here's Dawson or Dawn. Said Dalton is used to playing in the AFC North and Watson isn't. That's true, right? Deshaun Watson hasn't played a lot of brutally cold games because he's played in Houston. He went to college in warm weather. So, yeah, Andy Dalton has played in this weather a lot more than Deshaun Watson has. However, again, going back to his inability to have a big arm. But the Saints are dealing with some key injuries. Somebody mentioned this, and this is true. Jarvis Landry, I don't know what I know you weren't on yesterday, Brad G. I know you guys talked a little bit, or I know it was part of the rundown. Talk a little bit about Jarvis Landry. He's not playing in this game, and neither is Chris Olave, who's become their best receiver as a rookie and could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Either he or Garrett Wilson, both Buckeyes, have a good chance, in the mix for Rookie of the Year. But they're not playing. But I'm curious. Where did this bring Jarvis Landry back come? Because he's not the type of player they needed. I mean, I'm fine if you want to bring Jarvis Landry back as your fourth receiver, but we've been talking about the missing link that the Browns need at receiver. Jarvis Landry is not the speed receiving missing link that they need.
Nah, we was talking about it at the end of last year.
Yeah,
Jarvis went even before we made the Deshaun Watson move. The thing that we was talking about was, hey, we need to upgrade on that speed. We need to, because we was looking at trying to get either Olave or Garrett Wilson. Because at the time we had around the 15th, some 11th, 12th, some pick before we traded that to go get Deshaun Watson. And the number one request was, we need one of these speed guys, bro. We got guys moving. Jarvis Landry be running with a refrigerator on his back. You know what I'm saying? He don't like he not getting upfield like that. And if you want to bring him back, I mean, okay, but it don't act like that's gonna be like
no.
That's the key.
I don't think you need to do it, G. I mean, you got Amari Cooper, you got a possession guy. I don't need another possession guy. I need a guy to get busy up the field here, right? Put some pressure on somebody, open it up in the middle for somebody else, right? Saturday's game is going to be a game where you're going to grind it out. You're not airing this ball out on Saturday in these conditions. You're not. So Chubb and Hunt, this where you're going to have to eat. Right?
Yeah. I think they'll throw the ball some. I mean, I get it. It's going to be a heavy run day. But you got to be able to keep the other team honest. And I think, listen, you brought in Deshaun Watson because you think he's a great quarterback, which he should be, and I think he will be. And he's got a big-time arm. I know it's extreme conditions, but I'm not expecting 30 passes, but I'm not expecting 5 passes. I mean, I'm not expecting,
I'm not expecting more than 15, 18 passes. I'm not. You're not airing this thing out. If you've been outside shoveling your driveway like
no,
you're not gonna be airing nothing out today.
Only thing you get aired out when that wind get to hit you in the face. It remind me of walking to school when I was younger. I'm like, that was some BS with that. Y'all, that was I should have called Child Protective Services. Is it cold? And I'm walking to school. That way, your mom put that Vaseline all over your face.
Oh my God!
Golly,
I didn't want to get the you know how you try to defrost the windows and say. This morning I was like, this is trying to even chip the ice off was ridiculous.
I will say, but you know how things work. Bull, you love the stats.
Mm-hmm.
Now look, last week it was cold as hell. Deshaun Watson won.
Yeah.
This week, if he get a win, now the stat is Deshaun Watson is 2-0 when the temperature's under 25 degrees. He's a cold weather assassin. Deshaun Watson in the Browns offense. You'd be like, bro, it's 2 games.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I do think it's a big deal. I mean, the Saints really only have to worry about is Alvin Kamara. And that's a problem because the Browns, as we know, their run defense sucks. But they haven't given up a lot of points recently. You know, they've played better in the red zone. They've given up a lot of yardage between the 20s. But, I mean, if you're the Browns, you talk about not throwing the ball a lot, Brad. I agree there won't be a lot of throwing, but I expect the Browns to throw more than the Saints. I don't know. I mean, the Saints, I don't expect them to. I don't even know who they're throwing. Who is Andy Dalton even throwing to? I can't think any of their receivers right now. So that Michael Thomas is gone for the year again. Olave not playing. Landry not playing. They got that speed guy that I can't think of his name that Taysom Hill threw that long touchdown pass to last week, who's had a couple of long touchdowns. But they're not. You can't bring in a gadget player to throw a long touchdown when it's 50-mile-an-hour winds and cold. So, I mean, if you're the Browns, I think you got to have like 8 guys in the box almost every play, and Kamara's their only guy. I mean, he's their only threat. So they should be on him on every play. As bad as their run defense is, if they have any chance of doing well, you think it'd be to this game because the passing game is really not a threat from New Orleans at all.
Joe Woods, I mean, just, go back and look at those old 46 Bear fronts with Buddy Ryan. I'll tell you what. You should be running that. You should be having guys up there. There should be no way you run the football today. It's only one-dimensional. You talked about there's no receivers to look at. But here's the thing. Ask yourself. Now, when you want to run a Bear defense, you got to have safeties. Now, the Browns, John Johnson played okay. He played better. Now, are you comfortable with your safeties making tackles? Because here's the thing. If you miss a tackle as a safety and you got everybody on the line of scrimmage, guess what that is?
That's
a
touchdown.
Yep. That's a touchdown right there. So where are you comfortable with stacking a box but having them closer? Or you want to go all out and say, yeah, you're not going to score no points because we don't believe you on the outside? It's a catch-22 a little bit because the Browns just now started tackling okay last week. I don't know if he's ready for him to be all in on the safeties making touchdown-saving tackles.
Shout out to Albert on Twitter, who reminds me that Rashid Shaheed is that Saints deep threat guy who had the long touchdown and who's had a few long touchdowns this year. And you talk about tackling. You talk about John Johnson. By the way, I don't know why I've never brought this up before. I like to bring up these oddball things, but like, isn't it weird that like when it's always weird to me when you have a name that's like basically the same first name and same last name. Like I saw this doctor yesterday named David Davis, which is odd, and John Johnson. I don't know.
Johnson.
It's always weird to me.
Johnson as a first name. I don't know if you could be a Johnson.
Johnson. There are people named Johnson.
Like if your name was Chris David.
Yeah.
Or Craig David. Shout out to Craig David.
Larry David. You got Larry David.
Yeah, Larry David, right?
By the way, speaking of weird names, this is a real name, by the way. I'm not making this up. This guy was a Major League Baseball pitcher back in the day and then was a pitching coach. His name is Dick Pole. I am not making that up. Can you imagine your last name is Pole and your parents name you Richard and you say, hey, just call me Dick?
Nah, listen, some people got...
I'm not making that up.
Some people got to have the liberty to change that, bro. When you get to be about 15, 16, you got to emancipate yourself and just switch it all the way up.
I have friends. I'm not friends with them anymore, but when I went to camp, I went to not because they're bad guys, but I used to, when I was like 18, I worked at a day camp in New York. I worked at this day camp. I was a counselor. I was 18 years old, and I had 2 buddies that were camp counselors with me, and their last name was Lipschitz, which is obviously a really awful last name because, and they changed it. They legally changed their last name to Gannon, because they were like, we can't be going with Lipschitz the rest of our life.
So Brad, that's crazy. You got 4 daughters, right?
Oh my God!
If your daughters came home and was like, nah, I'm changing my name, so I want you to call me this. Will you honor their request and be like, nah, I'm calling you what I call you?
Yeah, you get called when you get called. Matter of fact, they all home now on the break, right?
Yeah, right.
Well, one thing I forgot, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They like to eat. Like, you don't got no snacks here. I'm like, huh? Okay, you gotta go to the grocery store. I looked at the bill. It was just me. I was like, ooh,
wait, so you got all 4 daughters staying at your house right now?
3 of the 4.
3 of the 4.
3 of the 4.
Are your 2 daughters who are playing against each other both there?
Yeah, they're over here. Yeah,
is there trash talk going on, or what's happening there?
After they played on Wednesday, they're the best of friends. Those 2 are the best of friends.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy to watch them. But they talked a little bit because they came home, watched the game again on film. And what you see, the youngest one at Maryland was checking Shayla, the 3rd oldest, right?
Yeah.
And she came down and even though Cheyenne had the most points of the day, Shay shook her on a drive, and she almost tripped her up, and she almost fell down. And
if any part of your body touched the floor, that's
her teammates at Maryland did like this, look by like, ooh.
Hey, and you know what? I'll trade. You know, it's a ratio. Highlights to buckets. You might have hit me with 10. You got 15 points on me, but I had 8 points in a highlight. You're like, I'll take the highlight, bro. Give me the highlight, bro. I shook the crowd with that
one. but I just tell you, I said it's good to have them home, but Bull, I tell you what, they could eat.
Man,
pockets. Listen, you like what? What did y'all buy?
What do you got? So did you go?
We need some shrimp. We need some fillets over here. I'm like,
I know.
Hold on. Relax,
some French onion dip, maybe.
I like
all kinds of goodies.
They want it all,
man.
So did you go shopping?
Oh, I went. The people at the grocery store said, "We never see you buy this many groceries." I like those. They don't live here anymore.
Is everything going on? Everything okay, Brad? Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, we'll get to some basketball. Speaking of basketball, we'll get to some Cavs because big game tonight. But But going back to the Browns for a minute, Steve Becker, our executive producer, was asking us before the show about, or brought up the point that this is probably going to be Kareem Hunt's last game in Cleveland because obviously the Browns' last 2 games this year are on the road.
Right.
And especially for Kareem Hunt, who is from the area, and he probably realizes he's not going to be here next year. So I wonder if is it emotional for him, or has he not been long enough that it's that big a deal? What do you guys think?
Well, I'd say obviously, I think anybody likes playing at home. I do. Right?
Sure.
At some point, here's like the rubber meets the road. Like you're not utilizing me to my fullest. My earning years are dwindling. It's time for separation. That's what it is. And that's the reality of this game. You got to move on and get better because apparently it's not going to happen here, right? I had hoped that they were going to use the crap out of both of them together. That did not materialize this year. And so now he's got to be at a position where it's time to go because his window is closing.
Very fast.
Yeah.
His window. And some would argue, and he was right. He was right at the beginning of this year. He when he went to attend to sit out. And this is why sometimes this is why sometimes I go back and forth with fans in the media and they say, well, he needs to get out there and play and he needs to, and you go back in hindsight of 2020, but look, if I'm Kareem Hunt and this is the amount of reps that they're going to give you, this is how they're going to utilize you, I would have sat out too and said, bro, if you're not going to use me, trade me somewhere where somebody going to use my skill set. Because here's the thing. Not only did they not I would have gave Nick Chubb the ball more, they didn't even really ultimately use Kareem Hunt at all. And it was just, you sitting there and you looking, you can contribute and you know what you can bring to the table. And when teams don't use you like that, it's a bittersweet thing. He's at home. He has some good years here. He said openly his best friend was Nick Chubb. And, it just didn't materialize, man. It's tough. And I know how you feel about it. I mean, it's bittersweet.
But guys, the interesting thing though is, if he could have been a number one back somewhere else, obviously he would have liked that. But the reality is that nobody made the Browns a good offer for Kareem Hunt at the trade deadline. Because if somebody had made a good offer, they would have traded him.
Yeah, I don't think they got nothing for him.
Yeah,
I don't think people, and that's the thing about running backs. Like you look at the running back climate. There's only a couple of dudes here or there that's getting bags like that. Nick Chubb was one of them. He got a little bit of a bag. Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, McCaffrey. Other than that, think how many running backs is on the roster. There's 3 running backs on each roster, and it's 28 or it's 32 teams. Yeah, you do the math. That's not. It's 90 some running backs. They ain't get no money like that.
You got to be super special, and Kareem Hunt obviously looked special as a rookie. But now he's been in the league a while. He hasn't played consistently. I think it's going to be interesting to see if he gets an opportunity to be the lead back somewhere, which I don't know that that's a foregone conclusion. Now, I think at the very least, there's a lot of teams that have a split backfield. Obviously, here that's not the case. Kareem Hunt gets some touches, but it's not a true split backfield. I think he's going to end up probably in one of those split backfield situations where maybe he's getting 50% of the touches as opposed to here where he gets 15% or 20% maybe. But it's going to be interesting even if he's in that, and certainly if he gets a chance to be the lead guy, will he look anything close to the guy that was a rookie in Kansas City, or is that not possible? Because we haven't seen him outside of a couple of games here and there when Nick Chubb's been hurt. We haven't seen him as a lead back in a long time. So I wonder what he's going to look like if he gets that opportunity.
Well, I would say this, that there's enough trash backs in this league, right?
Well, that's
teams
true.
Crying for a running back. We don't know, but we won't know until somebody makes him the workhorse, right?
Yeah.
He still thinks that he has something in the tank. We won't know, but there's enough opportunity out here for a guy. You're not gonna get him at top dollar.
No,
he can forget about that, right? He's on a. I gotta prove to you again that I'm a top player. He's gonna take a 1-year deal somewhere from somebody. Yes, he is.
Yes, I agree.
A 1-year deal from somebody and say, okay, let me show you that I can still run this ball.
Now, listen. There's a couple of places you do not, under any circumstances, want him going. I don't want to see him nowhere near the Baltimore Ravens. I don't like it. I don't want him really. I don't like him in the division. Really, I think the other two places. I don't think he would go to Pittsburgh. Bengals got not enough backs, but there are some places where I can see him thriving.
Yeah.
In the AFC, you look at New England. I think Buffalo is a team. Heck, Miami. Like Miami got Mostert. He's more of a catching back,
and Jeff Wilson. But neither of those guys. I mean, I think Kareem Hunt's better than both of those guys there. I agree with you.
Yeah. So there's some places he's gonna get some. He's gonna get some minutes.
It's a landing spot for him. I never was worried that there was a landing spot for him.
Yeah.
It's the what are they going to be willing to pay, and not what they're willing to pay. What is he going to be willing to accept?
He's Brad. He's in this position. It just popped in my head. Remember how LeGarrette Blount was LeGarrette Blount was kind of the same type back. He had played for New England, won a championship, then left and went to Philadelphia. And it was like every year that he would go and he'll find a different place and play well, but he never got that 3-4 year deal where,
right.
30 million. It never came for him. And that's just one of the issues where if you are a running back or you're a player, the way the league works and the way the salary cap works is if you getting down to, if they sign you and you go in the second round, that means you got 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you fill out that contract, by the time you came in the league, you 22.
Yeah.
That's 26 years old.
Yeah.
And now they're going to say, well, we can't give you too much money because you had character issues. And now you're in that 1 year cycle every year.
But if I'm Kareem Hunt, if he signed a 1 year deal and then just killed it this year, then maybe he'd get a multi-year next year. But then you're right. He's a year older. And you're probably right. He's probably never getting a multi-year deal. I'll tell you an interesting spot I could see for him next year. Miles Sanders is a free agent at the end of the year for Philadelphia, and they don't really have anybody else. I don't personally think Miles Sanders is that good anyway. But if he played with Jalen Hurts in that offense, because they got an elite offensive line, obviously they got the great receivers, with Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, that's an interesting fit for Kareem Hunt.
I like you. I like your thought process. But I saw somewhere this is cheating. Now the Eagles, the Eagles got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, still from the Carson Wentz deal, right?
They got 2. They talk about drafting the Eagles. They got 2 first-round picks. They talk about drafting Bijan Robinson from Texas. With their first pick. And they was like, well, Miles Sanders is a free agent. Yeah. Why you give me Bijan Robinson and then let's keep it moving. Then they got another pick later on in the first round. I'm like, how the heck did they let this? I don't know how, because they had 2 first-round picks a couple of years ago.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I mean, Hunt, the reality is, like, there's more recently accomplished players that are free agents. Miles Sanders is a free agent. Saquon Barkley's a free agent coming up. I mean, like, you assume he'll go back to the Giants, but, teams would be more interested. Like, Saquon Barkley is going to be more interested in him than in Kareem Hunt. And I know there's at least one other good back. It's not coming to me right now, but there's a few other backs. David Montgomery of the Bears is a free agent, which could end up being another spot for the for Kareem Hunt there, too.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt in Chicago wouldn't look bad.
Yeah. Especially, you play with a running quarterback, and although I don't know about their offensive line, but. And you're speaking of which, your guy Justin Fields, Brad, he's really made a nice progress here in this. I mean, they haven't won any games, but he's made some good progress. Really,
you hadn't seen, and it's only because I follow him all the time, right? So this kid can play. He can just straight out play. He's just on a bad team. Right?
Yeah. Well, he's got nothing around him. He's got no talent.
A city that gives you no grace in the beginning, and so he's weathered that storm. He has enamored himself to the Bear faithful. If you think about this, when the last time the Bears had a quarterback?
The last,
that's not even saying McMahon was that thing. No,
McMahon sucked.
He was not good. He wasn't good.
Jay Cutler was a decent quarterback. He was decent. And that's basically it. I mean, Jay Cutler might be the best quarterback ever, and he's average at best.
I'm going back to Gale Sears days, right?
Yeah, they had nobody.
You can't think of one.
No.
Not one that stands out in Chicago.
No.
Not one.
Oh, they went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. Remember that? Against the Colts? Yeah. That's insane because he was terrible.
How did that happen?
That's just nuts.
I think that was the Devin Hester Super Bowl. Devin Hester returned 96 kicks that year, and they just couldn't do nothing with him.
Darla just came in and said, Sid Luckman. Yeah,
Sid Luckman.
Sid Luckman.
It's 1,000 years ago. Sid Luckman.
I almost said something. I'm like, I was about to say, listen, we couldn't even vote back then. You talking about Sid Luckman. we weren't allowed to vote back then.
Oh my God.
That was years ago.
Well, they got to put some talent around him. Obviously, their only decent wide receiver is Darnell Mooney, and he's been hurt for the second half of the year. They got no offensive line. They need to get a better running back.
They got the stadium problem. Either they talk about moving out to Arlington Heights from downtown Chicago. It's a whole mess.
You know what's so crazy, Brad, though? It's a little off to the side, but didn't they just build that stadium?
No, they
redid it.
They remodeled it.
Yeah.
So they remodeled Soldier Field. That's still Soldier Field.
Oh, yeah. The outside, especially.
All right, you get out of here. Y'all can move. I thought y'all had a new stadium.
By the way, speaking of second-year quarterbacks, unlike Justin Fields, that are not improving, how awful was Zach Wilson last night?
That was awful.
Oh my God!
I felt bad for him. I was like, oh,
wow.
Why?
He's got parents. He's got parents.
Drafted him.
Oh my God!
Like as bad as Baker is, he make Baker look like a borderline Hall of Famer.
I mean, Baker. I mean, this guy didn't even look like he didn't even look like an NFL quarterback.
When they drafted him, Brad, out of BYU, I said, this dude wasn't good in college. What are you talking about? Y'all just gave him
I could never understand why they would take him over Justin Fields. And it just speaks to the Jets. What's going on in New York?
They're clueless. They always get it. Speaking of teams that have never had a good quarterback, I mean, not quite as bad as the Bears, but like they had Chad.
They had Boomer.
But he was at the end of his career. He had like 2 good years at the end. Chad Pennington and Testaverde were okay, but also Testaverde wasn't there that long. Pennington was okay for a little while. Sanchez wasn't very good. They won in spite of him, kind of like Rex Grossman. Their only really good quarterback was, for a long time was Joe Namath, but that again is forever ago.
Take that back. Chad Pennington was
Pennington was okay, but he wasn't a special quarterback.
I mean, he wasn't special.
He was like Jay Cutler. I mean, not a jerk like Jay Cutler, a nice guy, but he wasn't very good. They always get it. Think about in the last 20 years, every quarterback they draft is not only not good, they're horrible, just horrible.
Shout out to Kenny Miller for reminding me of Bobby Douglas in Chicago.
Yeah,
wow. He wasn't bad. He's enjoyable for a little bit.
Yeah, at least the Browns have had Bernie, right?
And
now Watson.
Yeah. Listen, they're gonna have to go. They got to find another. See, that's the problem when you miss. You had your opportunity to get you a quarterback. Now your team around him, the Jets roster around, what's the name, is not that bad. That's why you win in football games. But guess what? What has Zach? When you talk about next year, now you're gonna be looking around. You ain't gonna have the draft capital to get you a quarterback. Now you got this roster and Zach Wilson over here like doing too much. Like I don't like his.
That's exactly why the Browns spent that capital on Deshaun Watson.
That's right.
You have to, because you will not get it again, right?
And think about.
I said I was going to just say this, Bull.
Yeah.
Now, for us, this is analysis for the final games of this season. We have to do a deep dive. What are we keeping? What are we getting rid of? Because you got to turn the corner here.
Well,
windows start closing real soon around here.
Oh, next year is it? Next year is like you got to think about it. Like next year, I know people want to say, "Well, it's the first year under Watt, the first full year." No, don't start with that yet, because I know everybody make a living on talk about it's the first full year. You guys got to pump your. No, we ain't pumping nothing. That window is closing and quickly. We got to evaluate these cats, because I'm looking at it. This roster, older up front. This roster, Myles Garrett is over there getting older. You know, he's about what, 27 now? 26, 27 is a tough little group. You ain't old, but you not young no more.
Nope.
Like, you can't ask your people's for no money when you're 27. Like, it worked when you're like 21. You like, man, Dad, can I hold 20? Yeah, cool. You 26, you asking to hold $20. They're looking at you funny. Hey, bro, you good? Yeah.
By the way, G, you were Steve was asking us before the show, like, who else might be playing their last game. I knew you mentioned Conklin, Clowney, Dearness Johnson, and Greedy Williams all could be gone. Let me give you somebody else that the Browns may very well move on from at the end of the year, and that's John Johnson III. They could save almost $10 million in cap room by cutting John Johnson with a post June 1st designation.
So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think he's gone.
This is just simple.
Cap.
Here, let's just get to
Cap, man.
The economics of professional sports. It has now become a basic math equation. You out.
It's that simple.
10. That's simple. Nothing against you, John. I got to go. I got to get this money. Right?
I need that back. Listen, hey, Drake said it best. Never loan no money that you need right back. If you need that back you got to say, okay, I ain't got it, bro. If you need that on Tuesday, you know that bill coming Tuesday. But nah, hey, John Johnson, listen. Hey, listen, brother, man, you played good last week, but they got to get them a safety. They got to get them a safety. If there's $10 million in that, I mean, think about how they did Troy Hill. Troy Hill was here for a cup of coffee. Yep. They got him in the program. Was like, oh, yeah, listen, we're going to give you right back to him. I'm like, dang. What they find out about Troy Hill that he had to go that? Man, they should have got John Johnson, too. That $10 million is crucial.
Yeah, they're going to move on from him. I'm totally with you on Conklin. Dearness Johnson's not making a lot of money. I could see them maybe bringing him back, especially if Kareem Hunt leaves. I know they got Jerome Ford, but I would try to keep Dearness back, assuming he wants to be back. But I'll tell you, two guys, like we talk about cap space, and for the first time probably ever, the Browns have to deal with cap space next year, right? Two guys that they need to restructure with, I think. Not obviously I want these two guys here, but they got to restructure. And players are usually, as long as they're not losing any money as good players, they're usually willing to restructure. But they need to restructure because the cap numbers for Amari Cooper and Joel Bitonio next year are really high. It's over $42 million in cap space for those two guys. Now, we don't want to move on from those guys because they're both excellent players. But I would try to extend, especially Cooper. If I'm the Browns, I try to extend Cooper and spread out some of his money over a couple of years. That's what I would do.
How old is Amari Cooper?
It's a good question. Amari Cooper, you're right. He's probably close to 30 at this point. He's only 28, actually.
He's young. He must have gotten older than when he was 20 or something, bro. Like he's only 28.
Yeah, and he'll turn 29 in the middle of June. So at the start of next season, he'll be 29. So I mean, you got him under contract for I think one more year. Maybe it's 2. I think it's 1. And I would, so I would try to extend him like through his age 31 season, maybe, to try to cut that cap number and, right, and do that. So there's always ways around the cap. Yeah, eventually there becomes a point where you gotta cut somebody you don't want to, but
let me tell you,
they can make some room here
in the room in the offices. They have a cap guy, right?
Oh yeah,
they got a board full of people making a bunch of money, and it's a rotating wheel. And we start doing a number of Excel spreadsheets in here. That's what's going on. And it has nothing to do with the person, nothing to do with his talent. It's all about the money. And can I get something better for cheaper? And can I buy more with this money over here to give you the money? Right? And so that's what's going to go on here immediately. It's going on now.
Yeah.
It's going on right now.
Some people already know. They know where they're going.
Yeah.
It's like, and I would say Dearness Johnson, I wouldn't mind keeping him, but I just think that they feel like they're just going to get a ball to Jerome Ford. He'll be the dude that they're going to give it to. Another guy who might have seen his last days is Demetric Felton. Now, I don't know why we saw a sighting of him all of a sudden. I'm like, dang. Like, where he come? It was like a warp zone.
He's still here.
What you see, G, and what?
Dang, where he come from? Like, I thought
sighting.
He was.
Yeah,
I said sighting, bro. I'm like, man, like he started. He was running in motion. I'm like, who the heck is that over there? I took my glasses off. Like, oh, 25. Is that a DB? No, that's Demetric Felton. Man, I'm like, you crazy, bro.
And again, crazy. I know it's not a lot of money because neither one of these guys is making much money. But Jordan Elliott and Jacob Phillips, you could save about $3 million in cap space moving on from those two guys.
Oh, you sit out here. That's not a lot of money, but I tell you what, they're gonna start with the heavy hitters first.
Yeah,
they got the big tickets, and then if we have to sprinkle in some of the low budget guys, we can do that too. But I'm gonna just tell you,
they're gonna start with the dudes, the Daddy Warbucks.
And the funny thing about it, as players, we know. You're not bringing me back. We're not bringing me back.
Hey, save them. Hey, so how did that work? If you know you getting cut, do you start saving your checks a little bit deeper? Like if you know you getting traded, do you kind of tuck? Like you tell you we can't do that.
You're looking for exit strategy here. What's the strategy? And then here, there's 2 ways. You know they're gonna move on for somebody out there to pick you up, right? You know that. Then you have the other person. They know they're gonna move on from you, and there's nowhere for you to land.
Like there's no landing spot for me.
There's no landing spot.
Like it's just like that sucks too. Like if you play and if you play a special, like a different type of position, like that's why quarterbacks don't be tripping. Like like them positions is very lucrative. Like if you get cut as a quarterback and you start doing that practice squad hopping, it's a wrap. You're like, man, ain't no landing spot for me.
Except if you Cam Newton.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow, yeah.
Or Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. Or Cap too.
They
didn't coming back.
They didn't like Cam Newton's hats. They told him, listen, we don't want you in here wearing these.
Dude,
big
I
hats.
love those hats, man.
Them big Sunday hats.
But how about these big hats now that have you been seeing these guys wearing these? Not the Cam Newton hats, but these really big hats that these guys are wearing now. Have you seen this? One of the players, like their friend, had these giant like baseball caps. You guys haven't seen these?
No.
What?
You might
You're usually on top of all this new fashion there, G. I can't believe it.
Listen, there's black internet and white internet. I have not been on white internet in a minute.
You said you haven't been on white internet in a minute?
I haven't been. Why I got to switch back over.
No, I think it was a black guy that started this, though. I think so. It was a friend of. I can't remember who it was.
I gotta go.
You gotta look this up. Big hat. Look up like Big Hat Company. These guys are. It's like baseball caps that are 5 times the normal size, and guys are wearing these things. It's the craziest. Oh, it's Brian Robinson. Thank you, Albert. Brian Robinson.
Oh, I see you. Oh, listen. I almost told Steve, take tag board right here on number 2.
Tag board full. Tag board full.
Oh, this is crazy. I ain't seen this.
Is that nuts?
What? Why they doing that?
Apparently Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders. Have you seen it, Brad?
I see it.
His buddy apparently started a company where they make these giant hats.
Oh my gosh.
Those are so bizarre.
Called Noggin.
Your noggins is this is crazy.
That
and
is
you
some
right,
funny
boy.
stuff.
This I had. Well, you first to the party.
I can't believe you didn't know about that.
You first to the party, dog. hold on. And let me take tag board.
I wish I would walk in somewhere with a big hat on like that.
By the way, we do got tag board. Here you go.
Are those the hats? They don't even look big enough. That
Man,
is so funny.
Man, them hats is crazy large. They've been doing this. They've been doing this obviously for a little bit of time though.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Poised for Duty says, I need one of those big hats. That would be funny. Me in one of those hats.
Well,
G. Bush needs.
If you get one, don't wear it to the game this weekend.
No,
you better have.
That'd be gone. That'd be gone.
You better have hoodie. Muffs,
yeah, Lawrence, you're right.
Everything. G.
Oh no, it's cut. You don't want no skin showing. You don't want you don't want. You got to have everything like covered. And so here's so I played in a couple of these games, right? Always assume this. So first of all, when they give you your shoes, the first thing you need to do is you need a size larger than you wear. I used to wear like 14, somewhere in there. I told him I need the 15s because what you got to do, the first thing you got to do is you got to wear. My grandma used to have these orthopedic socks. For real, that she did. Like facts.
Right.
Like so yeah. So I was like, so your feet get cold because it's hard for your blood to get to your extremities. That's why, you know what I'm saying? That's why your hands feet get cold. So I got her circulation socks. I put that on as layer 1. Then what I did on top of that, I would go put the big athletic, the Jamie Lee Curtis's, the athletic, the dancing socks. I put them on. And then what I used to do, I have another pair of leggings over top of that, and then I come with the long johns over that.
Oh yeah.
So you got about 5 to 6 layers of protection right there. Now, here's the thing: you ain't moving too well, like you because of that. You're growing, and your hip flexor and your calves don't move like that. Your hamstrings don't either. So you kind of robotic, but you will not be cold. You will make it through. Dudes out there, don't do it. Do not do it.
I was always amazed at this, watching them cold games and people coming out with the sleeves cut off and just straight arm out here. I'm like, you have to have frostbite.
Yeah,
because I'm cold. I'm cold watching.
Well, how about these fans that are standing at every cold weather game? There's always a bunch of fans standing there with no shirts. It's always some big fat guy with no shirt.
Well, Uncle Nearest Bourbon will do that for you, right?
Running around hunting for wild turkey to do that for you, bro.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me hit you with this. So here is, I know this is crazy. I know we get it that the Browns, we all realize the Browns are almost definitely not going to make the playoffs. But I've got the scenario that would get the Browns to the playoffs. All right. So this is what has to happen. Obviously, the Browns have to win all their games. We know that. Now, this part is tough. Either the Dolphins, the Chargers, or the Ravens, one of those 3 teams has to lose all 3 of their games. Not all of them, but one of those 3 teams has to lose all 3. And then the Raiders have to lose one game. The Jets have to lose 1 game. The Patriots have to lose 2 games. And the Jaguars and Titans cannot tie the last game of the season. You got that all figured out?
You know what's so crazy? You're so crazy.
Brad is stunned silence right now.
It's so crazy that the hardest part obviously is one of those we was talking about before the show.
Yeah.
One of those teams going 3. The Patriots got to lose 2.
Yeah.
Which do you have the Patriots?
They're
schedule?
playing. The Patriots host the Bengals this week, so they could definitely lose that game.
That could be an L.
And then they play. Here we go. I got it. They're host the Bengals, host the Dolphins, and at the Bills. So there's a good chance they'll lose 2.
Smoked.
Oh yeah,
they could lose all 3 of them.
So there's a good chance they're going to lose 2. There's a good chance the Jets will lose one of their last 2 games.
There it is. Raiders.
And the Raiders only have to lose 1.
What they looking like?
The Raiders are playing. Let's see. Raiders.
This is looking decent.
Raiders are at the Steelers, Niners at home, Chiefs at home. So they're not going to win all three.
No,
they only have to lose one.
That's so. All right, so let's start this. Let's start this Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So now I'm pouring in the sugar. So now we already know that we can get the Patriots to lose 2, right?
Yeah.
Boom. We know that we can get them Raiders to lose 1. Boom.
Yeah.
Jets got to lose 1. Their last 2 games are at Seattle, at Miami. So you figure they'll lose 1.
They're going to lose 1.
They're going to lose 1. So those 3 are done. So you know they're probably not going to tie. That's another one. The 2 teams at the end, that's 4 things. So the only thing that you need to do and now concentrate on is this. Which one of them teams is more likely to not win a game the rest of the year?
I think with Lamar Jackson hurt, that's your best chance. Now, the question is, can they somehow lose to the Falcons this week? It's unlikely. But with Tyler Huntley, I mean, he's been terrible.
Yeah.
You never know. Because if they do lose to the Falcons tomorrow, their last 2 games are the Steelers at home. Obviously, it's a big rivalry. That game could go either way, especially if Lamar's not back. Everybody thinks Lamar's going to be back next week. Well, last week they said Lamar was going to be back this week, and he didn't even practice the whole week. So I don't know if Lamar's going to be back. And then the last week of the season, they go to Cincinnati. If they don't have Lamar, they got no shot at winning that game, unless the Bengals have nothing to play for. But I think the Bengals are probably going to still be fighting for the number 1 seed in the AFC. So as crazy as it seems, and again, it's a million games that have to go not million. There's like 15 games that got to go the Browns' way. It's obviously unlikely, and the odds that the Dolphins or the Chargers or the Ravens, any of them getting swept in 3 games, is unlikely. But
yeah, you have to look for the Ravens. But here's the thing, though. Some of that stuff is plausible.
The rest of it is plausible. The hardest thing is one of those 3 teams going 0-3. That's the most unlikely part of this. The rest of it is not crazy.
Monty Barry says Ravens will lose out and Browns will catch. We'll get in. Watch. Hey, listen, I think that might be the only.
That's the best sit.
So Bull, run that by me again. Give me what has to happen.
Okay.
Here.
So the Browns have to win out, obviously.
Right.
Either the Ravens, Dolphins, or Chargers, one of those 3 teams has to go 0-3. One of the 3. Then the Raiders have to lose 1 game or more. The Jets have to lose 1 game or more, and the Jets only have 2 left because they had to lose 2, the Jets, but they already lost last night. And the Patriots have to lose 2 games. And then it says, and then now I said the tie between the Jaguars and Titans only because it says either the Jaguars or the Titans have to lose 1 game. Well, unless they tie, then one of them's guaranteed to lose a game because they're playing each other the last week. But they might not even have to worry about that tie. Not that you worry about that tie, even if those teams both lose between now and then.
Man.
The rest of it is reasonable.
It's reasonable,
or at least maybe not. Yeah. The rest of it is not crazy.
Well, it all depends on the Ravens here, right?
Right. Well, and we'll know after this week, guys, because if the Browns win, they can. On the other hand, they can be eliminated from the playoffs even with a win this week. If the Ravens, Chargers, and either the Patriots or Dolphins all win, then the Browns are eliminated, even if they win.
Now,
now that's likely too.
It's almost it's a shame.
Yeah.
That this goes back to that Jets game, them fiascos that should have been fiascos.
It would have been.
Right?
It would have been a different. Now you never know how the rest of the schedule goes. Maybe it's different. I don't know, but
I think we all knew it. I think when we came in on that Monday, we knew this had a chance to come back and bite us.
Yeah. And at the end, if the Browns lose a playoff spot because of a tiebreaker, because they lost that Jet game and they won that game, but the Browns still got to take care of their own business. There's no guarantee here they're going to win their last 3, obviously.
Well, that game was a guarantee. We had it guaranteed in the bag.
Right. And then it all went away. Well, the Browns, and obviously the Browns, have to beat the Saints at Washington and at Pittsburgh the last 2 games, and neither of those games will be easy. Steelers have the same record as the Browns. Washington's got a better record, but those are games that we all think I assume we all think the Browns can certainly win. It's not like they're playing Buffalo or somebody really tough.
That Falcons game, that was a winnable game too. That Falcons game, earlier the year.
They should have never lost to the Falcons. Yeah,
and the Chargers, like even the Chargers, they had that game. Like, yeah, man, boy, I
would just say this, and I'll keep saying it. The Browns are closer than you think, right? The question is, do they know they're close? Right. That's why I said these last 3 games. If I'm a player on the team, Bull,
yeah,
I'm putting on a performance for people to see, right?
Yeah,
because I may or may not be here, right? And if I got any aspirations staying around this business, then you have to perform here. So I just think that the nuance for us is this: analyzing what we have, trying to make this run here to see if chips fall our way. Mm-hmm. But if not, do I have a game plan going into the offseason to strengthen this team? And that includes your coaches, Woods, special teams, the things that have been problematic all year. We have to shore this up. You can't luck into a playoff run.
No, that's fair.
I like the way the Eagles have built their team back, right? I like the way they built their team back. You have to build your team back, and it's not by luck.
There's no doubt the Browns got a lot of work to do this offseason. I think we all agree it's time for Joe Woods and Mike Prefer to go. I mean, obviously there's debate on Stefanski. I think Stefanski's probably going to stay, whether people want him to go or not. He's probably going to stay.
He's probably going to stay.
But Woods and Prefer to me have to go. They need a lot of changes to the coaching staff. And Andrew Berry, this is a huge offseason because his body of work is a mixed bag. I think that's fair to say. Done some good things, done some bad things. Where he's really failed more than anywhere else is in the front 7 on defense. Because even when they have addressed it, they've addressed it wrong, essentially completely across the board. Anthony Walker's a nice player that they got in free agency, but he's been hurt. JOK, I think the jury's still out. We liked him as a rookie. He had a disappointing second year. The rest of their front 7, obviously outside of Myles Garrett, is trash, and he didn't draft Myles Garrett. So that's where, I mean, they have to totally redo the front 7 and the coaching staff. And I with you guys, they need like a deep threat wide receiver. But you're right. I also agree, Brad, that I don't think it's as doom and gloom as we make it seem. I think as Browns fans, we take it to the extreme. Like when we're feeling optimistic, we're like, they're the best. They're the best. And then when things start going wrong, we're like, they're the worst. They're never going to win. We're too extreme with it. The Browns right now are a mediocre football team. But when you have a great quarterback, which I think they do, he was great in Houston. I'm expecting him to be great again in Cleveland by next year at least. If you have a great quarterback, a top 10 quarterback, then there's more margin for error. You don't have to have, the Chiefs' defense doesn't have to be great. It just has to be decent because Mahomes is awesome. The Bengals went to the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line in football because Burrow's awesome. If their quarterback had been Baker Mayfield, the Bengals wouldn't even have made the playoffs last year. So the quarterback is so important. It can make up for some mistakes, but it's obviously the team. You still have to have a team around you to some degree. And the Browns team isn't that bad. The secondary's still pretty good by and large. They have great running backs. They have 2 good wide receivers. I agree they need a third. David Njoku has stepped up into that top 10 range of tight ends, maybe even in the bottom of the top 5 at tight ends. And the offensive line, while they've struggled late, is still pretty good. So I think there are a lot of building blocks here, and we'll see if Ethan Pocic plays, and he's a free agent. I'd like to see them bring him back again.
He got to come back, especially when you get Harris off IR. You need him back. Because even if to me, he was playing at a Pro Bowl level. So you need him. Your guards are. Hopefully Taylor comes back with not injured and he'll have a little time. I don't think Conklin will be here. There's a lot to like about the Browns, but they do have some holes as well.
No doubt.
And I do agree. Andrew Berry, this has to be his best year. It's got to be his best offseason. In order to get them where they're going, man.
Right. They got to be smart with their free agent signings, and they got it. When you don't have a first-round pick, which I think the 3 of us are all fine with because you gave it up to get Deshaun Watson, but you better get it right with your 2nd, 3rd, 4th-round picks. They've been way too inconsistent with those picks at best. So they need to get those picks right because you are dealing with the cap space to some degree. And, they need to be good with those picks. They can't afford misses there.
You know who's been good with the picks? The Cavs.
Oh, yeah, let's get to the Cavs.
Because they got rid of a lot of their picks. And the Browns said, go ahead, we're going to get Watson. And then the Cavs counter was like, yo, we gonna get my man Donovan Mitchell, and that has worked itself out. Boy, has it! What really? I'm excited about the Cavs, man. Got a game tonight. Well, who they got tonight?
Toronto.
So I thought they would. What game is they playing? The Nets.
They're playing the Nets. I think Sunday or Monday. I can't. It must be Monday because Sunday's Christmas Day. So
we owe the Raptors. I don't like them.
Well, the Raptors. Remember, we lost to the Raptors on the road the first game of the season.
Yep.
And then they lost the Raptors again in Toronto. Again, they haven't played the Raptors at home. This is the first, and the Raptors are overall not playing that well, but they always been tough against the Cavs. But yeah, they got the Raptors tonight, 7:30, and then the Nets Monday. This is a really interesting schedule, guys, coming up because you got the Raptors and Nets, two good, decent Raptor team, good Brooklyn team. They're playing great, just like the Cavs right now. And then you go to Indiana and Chicago. Indiana's decent. Chicago's a good team. Then you have Chicago and Phoenix at home, and then go on the road, Denver, Phoenix, Utah, Portland, Minnesota. They got Memphis, Golden State, Milwaukee again. The Knicks who are playing well, all in January. I mean, we're going to find out something about this team, don't you think, over the next 4 weeks?
The next 3 to 4 weeks going to be critical. Yeah. Well, and I say this when I'm even on air with the Cavs.
Yeah.
We don't – every game is going to be a meaningful game for us.
Yeah,
because we're not gonna come out and just smoke people all the time, right?
Yeah,
we have to play hard every day because we're still finding out who we are and building that confidence necessary to be a contender in this conference and this league. The other thing is, I'll say it again, we're playing well, but we now have to continue to scour the sidelines. Who else can we add to this team? Because they're bull. Trust me. Even the upper echelon teams, they're not going to stand pat here.
No, you're right.
They're not. When we get to the All-Star break, they're not going to stand pat. They're looking to find somebody who can help me, who can be a separator for me. They know now who's coming. You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers in this league, Eastern, are coming. So now I got to figure out how to separate myself here. And so they're looking to scour the sidelines, see what they can do. I saw Jay Crowder's name being tossed around. I saw who else's name did I just see tossed around? Crowder, and there was a story out on Crowder, and it was like Milwaukee was like in on Crowder.
Oh my God, that would not be good.
I don't like that because here, like you said, you need somebody to separate yourself. Like to me, when you say the Cavs names, you can say, all right, well, they're not really better. I mean, in a 7-game series, these are toss-ups with the Heat, Bulls, Nets. We're not even going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. I think Milwaukee is better than them. You got the Sixers,
Celtics,
you got the Hawks. What was that?
Celtics. Yeah.
They're not clearly worse than them teams, but they're not clearly better than a lot of them teams. You may say, okay, they're clearly better than the Hornets. They're clearly better than the Knicks, even though they got smashed by the Knicks a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and Knicks are playing well right now.
Yeah,
they may be.
Well.
Yeah,
they may be better than Indiana.
Yeah,
but there's not the Raptors. You're not clearly better than the Raptors when Siakam is playing well. So they need something to separate themselves.
Yeah.
In a 7-game series that says we got this, we can stop this, we got extra stuff. And I just think they need that one more piece, but I don't know where it come from.
Yeah. Before we get back to that, guys, don't you think like right now, and obviously things could change. We got a long way. We got 48 games, whatever to go. Like right now. It may be more imperative for the Cavs than any other team in the East to have as high seed as possible because their home court advantage, like the way they play on the home versus road, is like two different teams. The Cavs look unbeatable at home, and they look average at best on the road so far. Is that, Brad? Are you not surprised by that because they're such a young team? Right?
Typical sign of a young team.
Yeah.
They play energetic at home when they're surrounded by people that are supporting them, and then we hit the road. It depending on what it looks like. You look at Garland's home average versus his away road average. I think he's averaged like 23, 24 at home, and then on the road he's like 15 or 16. So those 10 points are the separator between being a better road team. So we have to figure out how to get that figured out. But you can do that a number of ways, right? you can bolster your lineup. You can bolster your rotation by adding a piece. I'm clear. I've been on record saying it for a long time. We're still a piece away from being legit.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. You know, the only negative for the Cavs right now is they don't have a lot of assets to trade, right? They can't really trade first-round picks because they traded them all for Mitchell. We understand that. Nobody's against it, but it leaves them in that situation. It's not like they have a good young player that's not part of the rotation that they could trade and get anything for. So the only thing you have maybe are second-round picks, which is not high value, or maybe expiring contracts. Now, Karis LeVert does have an expiring contract. I think he's getting $18 million. Jetty, I believe, has an expiring contract too. Is that the way? Like, obviously, Karis LeVert's a good player. He's their fifth or sixth best player, whatever he is. But could they use Karis LeVert's expiring contract and some second-round picks to get something better than Karis LeVert? Much better? I mean, like, how's that going to work? How do you think, like, Jay Crowder would be a great fit, right? We'd all love to get Jay Crowder here, but how do they get him? Do they have these pieces to get him? Is that expiring contract worth anything or worth a lot?
It's a worth to somebody who's looking to make a push, looking to maybe a team that has multiple players. Draft picks for the following year, looking to pick up another piece here.
Yeah.
I would tell you this to answer your question. So, guys like Karis LeVert and anybody else that got an expiring deal, be clear, you're on the table. You're on the block, whether you know it or not. You're always on the block, right? That's the nature of the business, right? They're always looking to move and get better. And so you can only move. You're not going to move your top-tier people. So everybody else is subject to be moved. That don't mean they're going to move them, but that means I got to look. I have to see. The only other way you go about it, Bull, is who's laying on the open market that you can just pick up for a veteran minimum. That's the only thing sitting out here.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow. Hey, guys, we got breaking news for the Browns here. Breaking news on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And it's not news I'm excited about. I don't know what you guys think. According to Adam Schefter, the Browns and right tackle Jack Conklin have reached agreement today on a 4-year, $60 million extension that includes $31 million fully guaranteed. This is stunning to me. I don't understand this.
I thought my mom was calling me. It was time to go in. The street lights is on.
What?
Go ahead, G. Break it down.
By the way, Conklin, a little younger than I thought. I'll say that he'll turn 29 right at the start of the next season, but he's had a terrible year, guys. And last year he missed 10 games. This year he's missed a few games and has not played well.
He missed games in Tennessee.
He did he's only played a full season once since his second year in the league. He has only been a Pro Bowler once in 3 years in Cleveland. His first year he played well, but these last 2 years have not been good. That's a big bet. I understand you want consistency on the O-line, but that's a big bet on a guy coming off 2 subpar seasons and turning 29 years old. This is shocking to me.
See. This is so. Here's what you telling me. Here's what you're telling me.
Tell me.
You got Jedrick Wills, who may be a bust.
I'm gonna put my glasses on.
Straight up bust. You got Conklin that is now making $30 million guaranteed, and you got Teller, and you got Batonio pushing 30. Teller's been hurt 2 of the last 3 years.
Yep.
And now you got 2 guys that have been injury prone, Conklin as well as Teller, and Batonio's creeping up there, and you got to do it in Jedrick Wills, who we've been on all year. Now, here's my thing. Pochich is now a free agent. What you going to do? You going to give him a guarantee? You got to pay him now. My thing is, he played himself into a contracting deal. Now you look at what other money that you have that you can go out and do something with. I mean, this just signified there must be a lot of people getting cut. Y'all thought we was playing. That 10, 11 million, that's Clowney's money.
Oh, that's gone. That's all gone.
That 10 million from John Johnson,
gone.
That's his money. Greedy Williams little deal coming off the books, that's his money. If they want to, Hubbard is your backup swing guy, they taking his money. So okay,
Yeah.
If that's how you want to move it and you want to solidify, but it must be nice. Kareem Hunt is probably in his bag right now. He said all it took is Jack Conklin to come out and say he want to end his career here. Y'all give him $30 million guaranteed. Y'all won't offer me no pennies. Y'all didn't even give me no carries.
Jack Conklin is the 39th graded tackle according to PFF.
Jesus.
I mean, that's not hideous, but it's not good.
It ain't $60 million.
Jedrick Wills is 50 something. Yeah, I don't understand this move. This is a little stunning to me.
And why now?
Yeah, why now?
Well,
That's
why
I don't get it. Why now?
My only guess is it's interesting because the Packers just re-signed one of their offensive linemen today too.
Yeah, but they're not pressed. I mean, there's nothing happening here, right?
Yeah,
ain't nobody coming to get Conklin. Ain't nobody swooping him up. Ain't nobody put the cape on and come. Man, look, this is why these move. You find Brad, you said it. This is all evaluation time. Mm-hmm. These moves will be evaluated. These moves going into the offseason will be evaluated. And I just want to let people know that honeymoon stage is been over. If they think that you're going to get this Deshaun Watson year off as if it didn't count for nothing, and then y'all come in and try to say we're going to make progress this year, the real year was 20. No, ain't no real year. I will be on y'all every single day. You think you ain't hurt nobody. I will do podcasts about how you punted 2 years in a row, and this better work. Because if Conklin get injured, because he might even have offseason surgery. 60 million? Man, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we were just talking about the money, right?
Yeah.
Hey, David Njoku, look, David Njoku, we was mad about his money. Some people was mad. I thought it was a decent deal. Here's my thing. Njoku came out and proved it. Every man got an opportunity to prove it. Conklin, you better prove it.
Hey, listen, the guy has been pretty good when he's been healthy, but he's not consistently healthy, and he's had a shaky season this year, and he missed 10 games last. I don't know. We all hope they're right. Obviously, the offensive line's important. You want to take care of Watson, who got killed in Houston behind a bad offensive line. They must have looked at the landscape. We all thought James Hudson was the heir apparent to play offensive line.
He might be taking Will's minutes.
Is it possible? I mean, Jedrick Wills will be in his what? Fourth year?
Yeah, fourth year.
Is it possible they're going to move on from Wills and make Hudson the left tackle?
Could be.
I don't know.
They don't want to give him that fifth year. They might not like his fifth year. Dog, this is crazy. Hey, who would have known we would? They dropped this news right on a blizzard hurricane
on a blizzard Friday.
a blizzard Friday a couple days before Christmas. We gonna slide this in, and anybody gonna see this.
It's like
I don't know, man.
Friday news dump. That's
weird.
What it is.
They can't cut. I was looking at the cap. They can't. Jedrick Wills' money is guaranteed for next year, I think. So it's not a ton of money, but maybe they trade him. I don't know. Or maybe they don't think Hudson's any good. I mean, he hasn't played a lot. We thought he was good when he played a little bit, but maybe they don't think he's any good.
The chat going crazy. He got a 4-year. Listen, sometimes y'all don't agree with chat going crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, man, like he got 4 years. I don't
understand that.
I don't know.
It's probably just the first 2 years guaranteed, but that's. Probably. I mean, they must. In the end, they must have looked at the landscape of right tackles and said, "Well, he's our best option."
Well, all you did was send a buzzsaw through the locker room. Anybody that was looking for money, and they got told, "Well, we got to talk to you after the season." Well, you found the money for Conklin, so. That I don't think that does you any favors in the locker room. So,
let me do you like this.
I think it's poor.
Hey, it's like Brad. You tell you got four kids. You tell the one daughter, hey, look, I'm working with you on getting you them kicks that you wanted, right? She's like, okay, I done did everything requisite, cool. I'ma wait on it. But then your other daughter come home. She come home on a humbug. With a bag, you like, hold on. I know there ain't no shoes. She didn't even want the shoes. Right. She didn't even want them. You was just out and about and happened to see them and thought she liked them and you brought them to her. bro, you gonna have a civil holder. I know for a fact she didn't get it. I've been negotiating, working with you as a good child.
Yeah.
And you done brought these home.
Yeah.
Everybody in the locker room was looking around. Kareem Hunt is
Oh
salty.
yeah. Oh, salty.
Oh,
Salty crackers. Right, for sure.
mouth dry.
Dry. No
Cotton
water.
mouth.
Man. By the way,
hard.
some people are putting in the chat like maybe Jack Conklin's going to play left tackle. Guy's been in the league 8 years. He's never played left tackle. All of a sudden at 29, he's going to play left tackle. All right. Terry Womack says, tell Bulls to shut the hell up. He don't know anything anyway. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
Hey, Brabson04 says, G, but stop worrying about money. Folks thought we didn't have the money to do this. No, I ain't about the money. It's I don't know if he's gonna be available to play, dog.
Yeah.
I'm the cap who care guy. I don't care about nobody's money. I'll spend your money.
I'm with you in general, but
but like I don't know. I don't get to move though. Because here's the thing. What if you could have brought in, I don't know, is there any receivers, right? Is there any receivers like that's available? You could have brought in a lot of dudes because you're gonna need a safety. Like you need two. They might bring Delpit back, but I don't know. I don't know if I trust Delpit.
They need like 3 defensive tackles.
3. That's crazy.
That's what I was talking about. It's the acquisition of the talent and then assess what kind of talent you actually have. Right. That's what's going on now. I mean, it's apparent you have some pieces.
Yeah.
It's apparent you're deficient in a number of places. And I'm not one for here, let me tell you, winning teams don't go around throwing money away at the end of a season that wasn't what it was supposed to be, right? You have to assess this situation. Somebody's got to be putting this together. It seems like sometimes they're just winging it, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna take care of this guy, right? And all that does is send a ripple through the locker room, and now everybody got a stank face now. Gee, they got a stank face in there.
Yeah.
You what? He got what?
I thought we was working on something.
G Money Uptown with the super chat. I read that Watson restructuring to free up $30 million. I have not read that. It may be possible. I mean, if you're Watson, the money's guaranteed. He'd probably be happy to restructure. Monty super chat. Stop hating on Conklin. He is a Pro Bowl tackle. Well, just because you were a Pro Bowl tackle doesn't mean you now are a Pro Bowl tackle. And by the way, Conklin, to be fair, he did get picked as an alternate.
No,
I don't know how because and Wyatt Teller, who's had a bad year, got picked as an alternate, and Denzel Ward, who's not having a good year, got picked as an alternate too, which is weird.
Look, don't worry about it. We got his stats coming up. We listen here. See over here, we got the mainframe. See, I could do all. Let me go over here. Let me go ahead and get his stats up. See, people be hiding behind. Oh, he's a Pro Bowler. All right. Well, we gonna figure out right now. I want you to come on back in here in this chat session so we can get you Conklin's grade. Let me get my mainframe up here. Oh, let's see.
2016 NBA champs 216 super chat. 2 words: injury prone. Yes.
Let me get to these player grades. Here we go. He plays right tackle, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Y'all go right along, and we gonna figure this out. Tackle.
All right. Well.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. So Jack Conklin. See, his overall grade. His overall grade is a 68.6. Let's keep moving. So, whether you call that all pro, that's not all pro. That ranks. He's the 39th best tackle. Okay?
Yeah. Right.
Let's take a look at his pass blocking. As a pass blocker this year, really decent, 79.1. Let me see where that puts him.
That's good. That's probably top 20.
79.1. That puts him top 20.
Yeah.
That puts him top 20. But let's get to these run blocks, though.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. I'm just let y'all know that right now. Just brace yourself. Wow. His run blocking is a 54.
That's
horrible.
I just did the math. It was in the 50s.
Yeah, that's horrible.
54.2. So when you're talking about like he's an all pro, no, he's not. He's not an all pro.
So G, when you take a Chubb out of the lineup, right, who manufactures the runs a lot of times himself, right, the extra yardage. When you put a decent back in there, is that why you Can't get your run game going?
Because I'm looking in the tackles so far. He plays tackle. Oh man, Will's not even on this. Wow, I got to go to page 2.
Yeah, he's 50 something.
Oh, here we go.
Grade.
Oh, Jedrick Wills is the 56th best tackle. His grade is a 63.9.
That's bad.
His run blocking is a 57.
Horrible.
His pass blocking is a 66. So what we got to realize here is just because you got the moniker Pro Bowl at one point in time does not necessarily mean because you don't watch linemen back to back that you just give that away for the rest of their career. It's not a Joe Thomas thing. So that's not what it is.
He's actually never been a Pro Bowler. He was an All-Pro, which is even better, as a rookie in 2016, and he was an All-Pro again in 2020, but didn't make the Pro Bowl somehow in those years. But he's never actually been a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, people they touching in there. Oh, Teller's not a good. He's not a good pass blocker too. But here's the thing. I always say I'm not hating on nobody. Get your money, bro.
Yeah, all right. We'll see.
There's some people say, man, listen, G. Bush and these cats on the TV ain't worth that money. Here's what you get an opportunity to do. You can prove somebody wrong.
Yeah.
Conklin can come out next year and go right back to his form. Everything's on the up and up. And I will say a little bit, maybe their thought process was this. Now that Deshaun Watson, I told people, people was laughing. Deshaun Watson is in the building right now. What that means is he's controlling a lot of stuff. See, y'all ain't really been used to having a franchise quarterback. Like if you go to these other buildings and stuff, that ain't nothing moving, ain't nothing going on without Joe Burrow. Nothing. If you insist, ain't nothing going on without Patrick Mahomes. Like they running everything by him. If they Jack Conklin got that bag of money, you know who they asked about that? Hey, Deshaun, what you thought? You played a couple games with him. You've been in the locker room with him.
Yeah.
He was 11 weeks. He was trying to get it back. They going to him asking, hey, what you think about? And he said, yo, I like if he comfortable with him. But Watson is the dude that's gonna make everybody the move.
Yeah. By the way,
make him look good.
By the way, you were talking about free agent wide receivers and who they could spend their money on.
Yeah.
There's really only 2 good free agent wide receivers this offseason.
Okay.
And they are Juju Smith-Schuster and Jacoby Myers. I don't love either of those guys.
No.
Juju's bounced around a lot the last couple of years, obviously.
No.
So you're not spending big on either of those guys. If the Browns are going to get a speed receiver, they're going to have to do it in the draft, probably, or trade.
There's enough of those guys on around. I mean, it's enough. I've been watching these bowl games. It's enough of those guys out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
got to get it right.
Not gonna get top tier guy, but I tell you, boy, you have to have people that are down in the weeds.
That's true.
Somebody that you don't know, that you don't see all the time. He's out there.
Well, listen, they found one of the best Andrew Berry draft picks is Donovan Peoples-Jones. To get that kind of talent in the 6th round, that's doing good work right there. So you could always find good talent in every round. There's always good players in every round, but you got to get the right guys. And so they need to find that receiver. Obviously, they need to do a lot of work on the defense. But maybe a trade's a possibility too. But I don't think free agency is where they're going for that speed wide receiver.
Let me look at since you got the mainframe pulled up. What about these D tackles? Because for me, it would seem I always feel like it would seem that defensive tackles are a little bit easier to come in if they're already done. Because if you get a defensive tackle that's a rookie, how much can you expect?
Are you talking about free agents?
Yeah, free agents. Are there any main free agents?
All right, let's see. Defensive tackles. Update. Okay, in terms of snaps. Okay, there's some interesting guys. In fact, this guy might get franchised. I'm not sure. The names are not going to be as known, obviously, but I happen to have a fantasy league where we play individual defensive players, and I have this guy, and he's been really good. Deron Payne. We'll see him next week with Washington. He has 9 sacks, 53 tackles for a loss.
I like him.
He's 26 years old. Now,
why would they let him roll?
I would assume they're going to franchise him, but I don't know Washington's cap situation. I don't know. Maybe they have somebody else they need to franchise. But if he somehow gets to a free agent, like that's a guy you want. He's probably going to get a lot of money.
Yeah.
A guy in their prime, maybe they won't franchise him because he's a defensive tackle, and they do have a deep defensive line. But he's obviously the top guy on the board.
9 sacks as a D tackle?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Javon Hargrave of the Eagles, but he's going to be 30 years old. He has 10 sacks at defensive tackle. Those are the top 2 sackers. In terms of tackles for a loss, Payne and Hargrave are 1-2. Kalen Saunders of Kansas City, I don't really know him. He's got 3 sacks, 43 tackles for a loss, which is third best amongst the defensive tackles. He's 27 years old. Fletcher Cox of Philadelphia, but he's old. Sheldon Rankins from the Jets is pretty good. Yeah, those are probably the names. You know, some of these other guys.
Fletcher Cox 30. Is he unrestricted or he was?
He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, but he's even older than that. I think he's going to be 33 next year.
Dang, he's been playing at a high level for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say. See, that's a problem. You have to develop somebody, and I was going to flip this to what I was going to say in the Cavs. The teams that really are good, you know, they got the pieces and parts, but you know, you can't pay for everybody. You can't.
That's true.
You can't pay or draft. Somebody got to come somewhere else.
Somebody got to come somewhere else.
And so, while we was talking about the Cavs, it's like, and I was going to ask you, Brad, when you look at it, have you seen this happen in the league before with somebody that you either played with or saw? Like, the Cavs are good now, right? You know what, Jared Allen, I almost sometimes want to be like, he's their second best player. I don't know why I say that, but because you know what you're going to get from him. He don't take bad shots. He going to be defensively in the right spot. He a great teammate, nothing off the court, not injury prone, all those good things, right? You look at him and you look at Donovan Mitchell, then you get to Garland, and then it comes to Mobley. The Cavs can get to where they want to go, but they need somebody like Evan Mobley. Like Evan Mobley takes a jump in the season. Like I seen it a couple times where you'd be like, dang, that dude ain't. I saw it. I mean, it's Pascal Siakam, right? Remember he's playing with the Raptors playing Golden State, and all they had was, you know, they had Kawhi, they had Kyle Lowry, and you're like, okay, cool. They had Valanciunas, but then you're like, oh, Siakam came out of nowhere. Van Vliet came out of nowhere. Powell came out of nowhere. And them dudes, Van Vliet and Powell was bench guys. They turned themselves into starters, and then Siakam became a superstar. I said, what the heck is this? If Mobley can get, I don't know if he can do it, but if Mobley ascends during the season because he's such a young player and he might get a tool or two that he figures it out, I think that's the route that they need to go at. Have you seen that happen?
Van Vliet was a low draft pick. I remember I was doing some work for the NBA, and I went down to see the first 4 game down in Dayton. I saw Van Vliet when he was at Wichita State. I texted Kaz. I said, listen, there's a kid down here. He's in this play-in game. This kid can freaking play, right? And he didn't get drafted high, and he went to Toronto, and he turned himself. And that's why I said it's the eye test. Somebody got to be in the weeds because they're the people that you're looking for. They're not always premier people at the time. They go into a right situation that allows their talents to be to shine. And so what happens? The trick is. And a lot of it is luck, but it's also skill in finding those type people. Because you're not going to find them on the tier. For all I know, they could be at Beloit College somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But you gotta have somebody with the eye to find it out, because the Cavaliers need a person like that. Yeah. Those are the igniter people that take you to the next level. It's not the top tier guys. They got enough top tier guys.
Yeah.
It's the other guys that win the games.
That come off the bench. See, they got, and I like, man, you dead on. I like the flavor that they got. They got Kevin Love, and he could come off and get hot. He could come off and get you, and he got the green light coming off the bench, right? They got a guy like Jetty. Jetty is a person you used to get mad at if you play ball. Like if you on the road, don't count on Jetty. Jetty might be out of the rotation on the road, but at home, you'd be like, man, this dude ain't even that good. But at home, Jetty hitting threes. He got he get to the basket. He get out in transition. Jetty at home is a different player. But when you start playing, these other dudes like the Milwaukee Bucks, even though they beat the Bucks the other night, you're not gonna have that. Lopez played horrible.
Chris Middleton didn't play.
Chris Middleton did not play, and I think their second best player, who's the point guard, Holiday.
Yeah,
Drew Holiday. He played terrible.
Their whole team was terrible. Giannis was, fantastic.
But you're not gonna get that. But you're not gonna get that from like. So you got to have somebody who's your guy that counters off the bench. And sometimes, yes, it is Karras, but Karras has a weird game. He has an unorthodox game, which can turn into 50 points or it can turn into 2. You don't never know. They do need a person. They need one more. And I'm anxious to see who develops during the season.
Well, we're gonna find out. I'll tell you what. I just know this business a long way. For a long time. They know where the deficiencies are, right? And if you get past a certain number of the rotation, everything after that is pretty deficient, right? As far as being not as deficient from the standpoint of trying to take you to the next level. Here, if you're just trying to make the playoffs, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to really do damage out here and be a real contender, then you have to make the necessary moves to empower yourself. And this is what I said before. You got 2 routes. Get rid of one of your pieces to get another piece. Or find somebody that is laying low on a just sitting out there and you can bring in for a veteran minimum. That's it.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned
or a third, an overseas guy that's floating around there that used to be in the NBA. There's your routes.
By the way, guys, one guy we haven't mentioned in this conversation yet is Jared Allen, who's the guy who does all the dirty work on this team, right? All the hustle plays, all the energy. I was reading an article by Chris Fedor, who's the Cavs beat reporter for Cleveland.com, of course, and he said if you look at like the metrics with Jared Allen on the court, the Cavs defense, the difference with the Cavs defense with Jared Allen on the court and Jared Allen off the court is a huge difference. And he was saying that, obviously it's early in the season, but that Jared Allen should be in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year. Just the way he drives everybody crazy, grabs all those rebounds, and he is. There was some quotes here from the article from some of the other players about Jared Allen. He's our heart and soul. He's a monster. He's the straw that stirs the drink for the best defense in the NBA, somebody said. The Cavs are giving up only 104 points a game, guys. That's best in the league. Yeah. And a lot of that is, Mobley obviously too, but Jared Allen is a huge part of the reason why they've played such great defense.
Well, it's Jared and Mobley together. And Jared Allen, he leads the pack because he anchors down that center portion, right? And so I think he's actually training Mobley up as we speak, right? Mobley is coming and getting better. Yeah, but he's learning his lessons from the way and the work ethic that Jared Allen has every day. I do want to say this though, because there was somebody I think Broadview Bo was in the chat talking about the Carmelo Anthony. I always talk about Carmelo Anthony. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you why I talk about Carmelo Anthony. So Carmelo Anthony is well past his young Syracuse, early Denver days. That's done, right? Why I like a guy like Carmelo Anthony is simply for this. One, I can buy him for cheap. Right, I can get him for the veteran minimum. I don't have to lose anything that I have. Second thing I like is this. Bull, this. When you get to the playoffs slow down. We're not running up and down in the playoffs. We're in a 7-game series, and it's about who can put that ball in the bucket. That's basically what it is, because my job, G, is to this. Donovan Mitchell, you're not going to get 36 today. It's not happening, right? And I only have to do that for 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a season, 4 games. So my question is, if they take away your premier piece or one of your premier 2 pieces, like what happened to Garland last year, where do we go for buckets?
Yeah,
we'll count on Caris LeVert to give us buckets every day.
No, that's not going to work. No.
I know, G, you were concerned. We talked about it one day earlier this week when Brad wasn't on, and you were a little concerned about how's Carmelo Anthony going to fit in from a chemistry standpoint. But the bottom line is, if that was a problem, you just cut them and move on. If that did become an issue,
yeah, like that's not. And then plus two, I think what they want to do, Brad, is I think they want to get to the All-Star break to kind of see where they at. Like, let me get to the All-Star break and let me see who does somebody get developed here. Somebody come out of nowhere. Does you know to see it, and then after the All-Star break, they'll reassess and say, okay, well, technically we might be the 3 seed, but we don't think our roster is better. Because here's the thing. You're not gonna if you say 7-game series, I'd have to pick the Nets if the Cavs don't got home court, because the Nets, I know, is proven. KD and Kyrie will come here and get a win, and it ain't nothing. That ain't nothing to get no win here. Like, even though the Cavs play really well at home. Now the Cavs on the road, they need one more guy. I think Darius Garland and I think Donovan Mitchell will get theirs, but where's that third guy coming from? Can you count on Mobley? Can you count on him to give you, I don't know, 20 points on the road, 20 and 12? You don't know that. So the thing is, bring some of these veteran minimum guys in here. And here's another name that is out there. What do y'all think about Roy Hachimura?
Yeah, he's on the block.
He's on the block.
They on the block, but they gonna want something. Wizards gonna want something.
Yeah, because he's 24.
They ain't gonna want Karis LeVert.
No,
no.
I'm
thinking what you have to offer. They're not gonna want that.
But because I think the Suns rejected the offer for Jay Crowder. So
they're like, no, we don't want that.
We don't want.
You got enough. You got enough for that.
So you got to think about it. If they won't give up Jay Crowder, who on the Cavs would they say? Well, I think is it an expiring contract? Is Karis LeVert's contract over after this year?
Yeah, I think it is.
So I mean, that may help a little bit. It's an expiring deal. Plus, he can play a little bit. But I think the Wizards want something for Hachimura. But I like his game though. He be injured a lot. But
let me tell you why they're waiting to the All-Star break, because they're waiting to see who else is making moves, right? So what's going to force the Cavs' hand is a move being made by someone else, right? So if you see Brooklyn, Philly, Boston make a move, right? You cannot stand pat with what you got, because they're trying to, again, they're looking for those separators, G. They're looking for, they know this East is tough. You think they don't see that the Cavaliers are rolling 15-2, 16-2 at home?
Yeah,
this might be a bad matchup here if I get up on the wrong, if they get the home court advantage on me, right? So I have to do something to break that up, right? And again, they know the drill. Either you give up one of your pieces or you get something for nothing.
Yeah, that's it. And right now, they don't want to give up no pieces. We need them pieces to keep going where we at. So you might be with a Stevens, right? You might be and it's crazy because you hope that Isaac Okoro can hit a corner 3 and play defense. Hit a corner 3, play defense. That's what you're looking for, right? And right now, it just doesn't seem like he's played well the last couple games, but you know how that is. You know how that.
So
rolls.
do you know how Larry Nance got here to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do you remember how that happened?
Nah.
So when the Cavaliers were putting together that young nucleus, Mark Price, Ron Harper, Hot Rod Williams, Brad Doherty, they had a nice little thing running. Phil Hubbard was running the power forward. So they were running this thing. And then they kept running to Chicago, right? Chicago was up and coming. And then there was obviously the Bostons were out here. And there were enough to Detroit's were out here.
Mm-hmm.
They figured they needed a separator. So what they did was they targeted Larry Nance in Phoenix to bring him here. You know how they got Larry Nance? They traded Kevin Johnson.
I remember that. Young Kevin Johnson.
Young Kevin, and that's how they got Larry Nance. And then it worked out for both crews, right? Yep. But they gave up a piece to get a piece.
And it just, well, you look at it. I don't think I don't know who they would consider. I think they got 3 that's they ain't gonna touch. Garland, Mitchell, Allen.
I don't see them touching any of them.
Mobley.
You're left to the other 2 slots. You're left to finding somebody on the scrap heap somewhere.
Yep.
Or being able to finagle somebody out of something with Karis LeVert, but it may not be a top tier person, right?
Right.
It just might not be.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what they do and what they're able, if they're able to be creative with whatever they have. That's the bottom line, though. They don't have first-round picks to trade. They don't have a young, up-and-coming Kevin Johnson that they don't need because they're 4 young stars. You're not trading any of those guys. And they don't have, it's really just the expiring contracts, if they have any value, or Karis LeVert. But I don't know who wants for Karis LeVert. You want him as an expiring contract.
And to Tequila in the chat, she just asked about Ron Harper. No, so Ron Harper wasn't a part of that trade, but I'll tell you what, we in Chicago were so happy that they moved Ron Harper. We're like, ooh, thank you.
Hey, listen, Ron Harper was, I couldn't
you.
believe it. To this day, I still couldn't believe they traded Ron. I couldn't believe it, bro. Like, Hart was that deal. See, a lot of people remember him in his last stint with the Lakers and Bulls, and like, nah, bro, it was different when he was young. Young Harper, come on, man. Man, I'll tell you what, man. No, I think realistically, I'll ask you guys realistically.
Hey, before you do that, really quick, let me give you. You want me to give you the full Larry Nance trade, guys?
Yeah.
It's February 25th, 1988. Larry Nance and Mike Sanders.
Yep.
And a first-round pick traded to the Cavs for Tyrone Corbin, Kevin Johnson, Mark West.
Yep.
Wow.
A first-round pick and a second-round pick. By the way, the first-round pick that was traded from the Cavs to the Suns in that deal ended up being a star for the Suns. You know who it was?
Who was it?
Thunder Dan Marley. Dan Marley.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I mean,
and I tell you what. And here,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, Bull. Because not only did they get Larry Nance, you know who else solidified that Cavalier team when they got on that roll? It was Mike Sanders.
I remember Mike Sanders. He played
Mike Sanders out of UCLA. That helped separate the Cavaliers. They became very formidable then. Now they gave up a lot of real estate. And if it wasn't for a shot that we put them on 89, never know where that
88, 89 was you got to think of 88, 89 was very tough because you got to think back then Celtics they had just won a championship in, I believe, 87, right? You still had the Pistons. They was formulating the bad boys.
Yeah.
You had the Bulls, you had the Cavs. Then you still had the 76ers. 76ers won bad. They were still good.
Barkley.
Yeah,
they were still around. Yeah.
Dominique and the Hawks was kicking a Doc Rivers.
Atlanta's Air Force, right?
They had back then you couldn't just I could see why the Cavs didn't win. I mean, all them teams had us, and not just top 5. They had dudes come off the bench. That was nice. It's tough back then. Tough sledding.
Well, there were less teams, right? And guys played at least 3, in most cases 4 years in college when you played, Brad. So guys were more prepared to play in the league. You knew more of what you had when you drafted a guy back in those days.
I gotta ask you this.
The thing that doesn't change is I was talking about pieces for pieces.
Yeah.
Bulls got better when we picked up Cartwright, but in order to get Bill Cartwright, we had to give up Charles Oakley.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Knicks during
amazing
that time.
on the Knicks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, bro, the Knicks had 96 power forwards. They had Charles Smith. They had the X-Man. They had Charles Oakley. I'm like, how many power forwards you want, bro? The first point forward. But shout out to Anthony, RIP Anthony Mason. Let me ask you this, because I heard this.
That guy had a motor of all motors.
Yeah, he had a motor.
He had a motor.
And he had a skill set. And, and he was left-handed. You know, people's hard to guard that's left-handed.
Yeah.
I was looking at Kendrick Perkins said this, and I'm gonna ask you about it. He said, man, the owners, and this is coming from a player. He said the owners have to do something, and I'm like, what is he talking about? He said the owners have to do something. He said the people that's on these rest managements and not playing games. They pointed to, I believe it was the Clippers. The Clippers had a whole doggone team on the whole rest management.
Yeah.
And he said, look, man, at what point in time are we just gonna play ball? And he said, man, the NBA got to a point where the NBA, it wasn't never going to beat the NFL, but it was pushing. The NBA ratings was there. They was pushing and get to a crescendo. And I'm looking around and I'm saying, nowadays the players is getting their money, right? They're getting their money. They're getting their empowerment. But really what you need is the players that's getting the bag now, they need to be doing things so that the next group behind them can continue to get that kind of money. Yeah. Because right now, I'm watching these games, and like Bull said, Bull was like, yo, casual fans is like, look, man, I don't do regular season games. You let me know when the playoff come around, right. I catch up with y'all. And I'm trying to, it wasn't never like that for because you knew Magic was coming to town, Bird would be in town. Then you had Stockton Malone was coming to town, Reggie Miller was coming to town. All these dudes playing 80-some games. And I'm a player guy. I mean, what is the old school guys like you think about it? Because I'm starting to see a little bit of a drop in the interest level because these guys not playing.
Right. I always think it's bad for business. And Bull, you can attest to this. As old school folks,
yeah,
the old school people, they just play.
Yeah, we loved it.
You think we weren't tired? Tired?
Yeah,
we all were tired, right? It wasn't like people was getting injured, wasn't getting banged up.
And you weren't making the money that these guys are making.
No, just enjoy playing.
Yeah.
But see what happens when you open the door to the negotiations, he's going to give you a day off. Well, I want 2 days off now. Right?
I know. But it's not.
I want 5 days off now. Like, they don't, and here, I'm not trying to say abuse your body, but I'm going to say, wait a minute now. You can't sit down. And if I'm a paying customer here, I bought these tickets for my kid. You're only coming to town once a year.
I know.
And I don't find out till 3 days before the game that you're not going to play. And I bought these tickets 3 months. It's a problem.
Let me show. I'm going to throw a stat out to you, man, and it's going to boggle your mind. This is crazy. When you talk about people playing, now this is one of the greatest of all time. Do you know John Stockton came in the league when he was 22? He played 82 games. The next year, 82. 82 again. 82 again. 82. He finally fell off and only played 78. Shame on you. That was at the age of 27. 82 after that. 82 again. 82 again. 82 again. 82 again. Another 82. Another 82. Guess what? He waited till he was 35 to fall off again.
Oh my God.
He only played 64 games. Then he played 50, right? You thinking his career is coming to an end at 98, 99? Mm-hmm. He comes back to end his career. He finishes his career at 40. But from 37 to 40, he played 82 games 4 more times. In the last year in the league, he played 82 games. Come on.
Those days are done.
82. Like, that's crazy. That means that there was no shot that he was not playing.
There's a different mentality. And not taking anything from the young players, right? That's all they know. They've seen that. They think now that is part of the folklore here. You do these days? No.
Well, you know, I'll ask you about this. When you talk about the Clippers, you know, I'm gonna tell McNuggets, hey, we need to do a top 5 on players whose career is right at the teetering. You as a superstar, what happened to you? I don't know if Kawhi Leonard is ever coming back. I think the Claus days are finito.
By the way, guys, you talk about the guy who played the most. How about this? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played 20 years in the NBA, right? Now, later in his career, he did miss a little time. But even if you include later in his career, 20 years. You know how many games he averaged per season? 77.
That's crazy.
He averaged 77 games played by year, and that includes his age 40 and 41.
Yeah. He came back
at
out.
39. The least amount of games he ever played in a season was the 74-75 season. Was that a shortened season for whatever reason?
No, didn't he have something broken? Yeah, something broken. His hand or something.
I think he got hurt.
I think he punched Kent Benson in the face, broke his hand.
That year he played 65 games. I mean, think about this. The guy. This is Kareem from age 37 to 41.
Crazy.
37 to 41. He played 70, 79, 79, 78, 80, and then at 41 he played 74 games. When most guys are now don't even play. He was averaging 79 games a year.
When year did he come in the league?
He came in the league in the 69-70 season, and his last year was 88-89.
So he came in the league a full 16 years before me. So when I got him, he was 38, going on his 39th year.
Yeah.
I mean, 38 years old, going to be 39. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what, Bull, he was still a beast.
Yeah.
Oh. And that was my first game ever, playing against the Lakers in a preseason game.
Oh, really?
Magic Johnson, Kareem, Cooper, Rambis, Worthy.
Wow. That had to be a wild experience. Like, you probably were looking up to those guys as a kid, no?
It was real wild. I started the game, too, and then Magic went to start out and said, okay, we're going to pick on the rookie. We're going about to abuse him. We're going to run 7 plays in a row for James Worthy straight away. And every time Worthy scored, he's like, and Magic kept coming back, run that back, run it again. Score again, come back, run it again, we run it back. And you know who reminded me all the time when they were here in Cleveland? Byron Scott.
Oh, that's right.
Byron like this.
He remembered that preseason game. Isn't that amazing?
He's like, you remember that game? The one we had with your work. Your memory's too long.
Don't you think Kareem? I think Kareem is the most underrated player in the history of the NBA.
Oh, there's no question.
Right?
He
never gets to do of these other great players.
He was a beast.
Don't you? I think it then morphed into this. Like Shaq said, like I separate the big men. Like I separate the centers because they don't never get they just dessert. So
yeah,
I just put them in the ranking of all-time centers, right? But yeah, like to me, I mean, if you want to look at it, I mean, between him and Chamberlain, I mean, Chamberlain was averaging like 50 rebounds or something stupid.
Yeah, 50
that don't make that's something stupid. That don't make no sense, man. Like some of them days back in the day is just crazy, man.
Who you guys taking? Who are you taking? Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Kareem, Olajuwon, David Robinson, or Shaq? Who are you taking?
Well, first of all, I don't think you get wrong with anybody in the crew, but I will just tell you, Will Chamberlain, what he was doing is a feat that people undersell all the time. And then I saw, Russell and his thing. I only saw him on tape, so I didn't really get to see him at the end. But I saw that Kareem up in person. And I saw that Olajuwon in person. Olajuwon was tough.
He was awesome.
But that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
you can't. That was
something else.
I mean,
that was something else.
And to me, Shaq is so funny because Shaq is just like an anomaly because he doesn't get credit for being skilled. I think his skill, he's a brute. But I mean, you can't. I mean, bro, what he was doing to people was ridiculous.
Yeah. Like I would take. Personally,
I'd take Kareem. I would go with Kareem.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Wilt and Russell, I didn't see them play, so I can't. Of the guys I saw play, I would take Kareem 1, Olajuwon 2, and then it's been Shaq and David Robinson for 3. I don't know. Shaq and David Robinson, tough call. I mean, David Robinson was such a skilled player.
I mean, back then,
but Shaq was, I don't know. But I'd take Hakeem over Shaq and David Robinson. Would you guys or no?
Yeah, I'll take Shaq.
Yeah.
You know who?
Oh, you take Shaq over Hakeem. Okay.
No. Ooh, no, I would.
It's hard, man.
No, I'm gonna take Hakeem.
I
will say this. The guy I had to go back and do my research on. You probably know him. Ralph Sampson. I had to go back and check Ralph Sampson at Virginia. I was like, okay, and then he had a couple years with Houston where it was him and Olajuwon, and it was nice.
Then he hurt his knee.
Yep.
Well, and then you talk about great guys who were great centers in college but weren't quite as great in the NBA. Bill Walton's in that group too.
Oh, Bill Walton,
because he was unbelievable in college.
He wasn't what he was at UCLA, but I'm gonna just tell you this. I'm gonna say I encountered Bill Russell when he got to the Celtics.
Yeah, right.
And he was killing folks. So
yeah.
This is what I said, Bull.
Yeah.
What they used to call him? They used to call him the Mountain Man. I said, they go the Mountain Man.
Yeah.
That's what Brent Musburger used to call him when he was in Portland.
Yeah.
I was like, he was killing us. I was like, and on one leg, killing us.
Right.
Brad, I don't know. They used to say like, there's two people we'll never get to see. Maybe you played against them. They said the two guys coming out of college that was nice. They said Sam Bowie was nice until he messed his leg up. They said Sam Bowie was decent. And I don't know, were you in the same era as Len Bias?
Len Bias and I got drafted. Yeah, no, Len Bias and I got drafted the same year.
Really?
My God, I can't believe it. So did you do you ever have an opportunity to play against him or
so Len and I played against each other once at Maryland, once in Columbus at Ohio State. Oh, they beat us in College Park by 3. We beat them in Columbus by 7. Len and I, I'll tell you a quick story. Len and I got drafted together in the 81 draft. He was the number 2 pick. I was the number 9 pick. And we also, this is back in the, when I talk about being shrewd, I'm going to give you my example of what shrewd is. GMs being shrewd. The summer before the 86 draft, I get a call from the Boston Celtics talking about, hey, we're having a summer camp. We want you to work as a counselor at the camp. I'm like, oh, this is great. We'll fly you in for the camp. Everything's great. I said, well, who else is a counselor? Well, Len Bias is going to be a counselor. You and him are going to stay together. Oh, okay. Well, we're going up here. I just play Len in College Park. Great, no problem. We get up and we think we just working the camp, showing a few little kids what to do. Right. They're gonna pay us $400. Like $400. We're like, oh, we only make $400 in 5 days.
That's big money, 81. What you talking about?
I'm like, here's the deal. We get up there, Red Auerbach. After the first camp, Red does a speech. They come up to us afterwards saying, hey, talking to me and Len, hey, camp's over. We're gonna be playing pickup in the gym. Who was we?
Okay.
Larry, Danny Ainge, DJ, Parrish. We're all gonna be there. Larry Bird, we're all gonna be there. You two want to play?
Oh wow!
They're like, Len by side, like, sure, we want to play, but we don't have no shoes and stuff. Like, oh, we got shoes. Hold on. So we go to the gym. We think it was a pickup game, right?
Right.
In the first row of the bleachers is the entire Celtics organization. Red Auerbach's leaning back in the chair like this. I think they're just watching their players, right?
They had a whole
damn players. They got the whole staff. We do this for a week. They're evaluating talent for a week.
That's funny.
And they got dudes on here with pens and pads. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, free look.
Send them baseline.
And by the way, Robert Parrish, excellent center. Not an all-time great, but still I shouldn't say not an all-time great. He is an all-time great, but not on the Kareem Shaq level, but still a great. Right, two guys that belong not at the top, but certainly top 10, 15 centers of all time that we didn't mention. Moses Malone and Patrick Ewing.
Oh yeah.
Patrick Ewing. For me as a kid, because Patrick Ewing, I grew up a big St. John's fan. And when I was Chris Mullen and Mark Jackson and Walter Berry and Bill Wennington, and I loved those teams in the 80s, Shelton Jones. And when they played Syracuse, of course, with
Burrow
Washington, and when they played Georgetown. But that Georgetown team, man, that was the most polarizing team.
Yes, it was.
Right?
Yes,
it
was.
And they were badass. They were badass on the court. And Patrick Ewing, to me, was the most badass basketball player I'd ever seen play college basketball. I was like, oh, my God. And he was great in the NBA. But he was such a badass in college. And people were so awful to him. It was horrible. He got treated really crappy, like, as you know, Brad. I mean, the way people treated him on the road was disgusting. But, the guy played through it and just kicked ass on the court. He was an awesome player.
Hey, man, I
still hope the Knicks can one day return to that day, because there's nothing, I'll just tell to any fan, there's nothing like playing in Madison Square Garden when the thing is right. It is right. It is nothing like it.
Hey, man, shout out to John Starks, man. John Starks used to turn into a monster when he played the Bulls. I'm like, bro, dang, bro, you ain't never this good. Like, he was like, no, I'm John Starks. They had him.
Well, remember that game 7 where he was like, what was he, like 0 for 20 from the field or something? He had like He was awesome. But they had that one. Well, Charles Smith, you mentioned before, had that one terrible.
Charles Smith had a chance to he missed the putback 8 times.
Got smacked on the glass.
All right, guys, we're out of time. That 2 hours just flew by.
That went quick.
That went quick, man.
Here,
that was crazy.
I'm about to go back out to the jungle. I got to do some Christmas shopping.
Good luck. Oh, my God. Good luck with that. Good luck, Brad. Hey, guys, enjoy your Christmas. Have a great time with your families.
Merry Christmas to y'all.
And Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy Hanukkah to everybody out there. We'll be back. G and I, who's on with us Monday? Brad, are you on with us Monday?
No, no.
Oh, no, we'll be. All right,
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning show tomorrow. It's just you and me, right?
Yeah.
G and I tomorrow, 2-minute warning for the Browns and Saints. And then Monday, G and I will be on with, I can't remember, there's a third person. Oh, Jason. You and Jason on Monday will be from home, and then we'll be back in studio on Tuesday. Everybody have a great holiday, great weekend. Go Browns. Go Cavs.